And then she literally, poof, disappears. She appears, covered head to toe, might I add, in blood, because she was just on a killing spree, in a ballroom, surrounded by people in pretty dresses. Hi, Bookish Baddies. Welcome back to BookishChaos. Hi, Bookish Baddies. Welcome back to BookishChaos. I'm Shay, and today we are talking about... I'll put it over here. I'm more on this side today. We're talking about Veil of Fate by Jennifer J. Hoffman. It is the Fates of Mirror trilogy. I would just like to say that I started this book, and in my brain, I had finished it. I think I even lost my mind and logged on Goodreads that I'd read it. But I didn't, and I know this because when I got to the twist ending, I had no idea what was going on. And I would have frickin' remembered the twist ending. This is going to be relatively a deep dive. This will be a spoilery review. This is not a negative review. It's just me talking about a book. So, Zora is our female main character. Her parents were murdered when she was really small and her brother was taken. She has no idea where her brother is. There is an underworld of sorts where you can sell and buy anything. She works for a guy who is part of the underworld. He is a boss called the Beast. The job she's on when we open is to get info for him. There are 6 of the 8 bosses in the underworld tonight. She meets 3 of them. Not 3 of them, 2 of them. Why is this not scrolling? Because I'm scrolling the wrong direction. So she meets the prince, the princess, and their friend Talus. We learn that the late king's son is wanting to marry, and there is to be a tournament to win his hand in marriage. The prince boss, this is very hard, says that Kristen Estal, the future king of Estal Kingdom, he's like, he would like you. She learns that there's a contest, and she would have to fight royalist ladies if she were to enter it. We learn that Kristen Estal can see fate, but he remains hidden. He is an heir of fate. And from this, I wrote in my notes, from this convo, I knew that the prince was actually the prince and is Kristen Estal. He tells her, you're invited, if you want, after they banter back and forth. Talus calls her by her name, and she's like, how did you know who I am? And she goes to leave, and the prince follows her. She pulls out a knife and throws it at him. He dodges it. She throws a second knife. He dodges it again. He picks up her first knife. He throws it. Trapping her dress, throws the second one. Magic connects the two. They have a moment where they're staring at each other. And he ends up letting her go. And he disappears. She runs into her friend Greta after she changes in an alley. And she's like, I gotta go talk to the boss. She's like, here's the dress I was wearing tonight. Greta's like, that thing is hot. Full of diamonds. You have to let me borrow that. And she finally caves. Zora gets to her employer's townhouse, the Beast, and he also wears a mask. So all of the bosses wear a mask, and they have illusions. Like if they have tattoos, they have different illusions to like cover up identifying features about them because you're not supposed to know who the bosses are. We learn that he was the top boss until the prince and the princess came on the scene. She tells him that she wants more threads than they agreed on because threads are the currency, but it's also like threads of your memories and stuff. So she tells him that the prince is working with another boss, the princess, and he does give her 2 because she's like, we agreed on 1. I spent an entire thread on that fucking dress I wore tonight. She tells us that the reason she went to him was she was looking for a lead on her brother and she thought that he could help find him. It turns out, she finds out, that he sells people, doesn't help them. He wants her to bed either the prince or princess. He's like, you cannot kill them. He says, I'm not going to pay you any threads, but I will give you a name of a person who knows who killed your parents. He's like, I have access to the archive of threads. And he said, did you know that you aren't there? Everyone has a box in the archive of threads, which means that someone has her box and is doing something with them. He's like, don't let them know that you're onto them. Don't kill them. I will have you tortured and sold if you kill them. she is... So we go to her house and we realize just how poor she's living. Like, she has a pallet on the floor and very few items of food. And we learn this is because she uses her money to pay her rent and buy her disguises for her jobs in the underworld. She goes home, she changes. She straps on weapons, and then she leaves to go look for the prince and princess because she's supposed to she's supposed to bed one. She decides to go find Greta because she's like, Greta goes to all the places, and I'll look invisible next to her in my fancy, fancy dress. So we meet Farah, who is a lover of Greta's. Zora doesn't like the royalists because we learned that when her parents were killed, she was taken in by a group of royalists, and they sold her to whoever they wanted. She hears a voice behind her at the bar that they're at, and ta-da, it's the prince. They go get a drink, and she gives him flirty eyes. He's like, toast to honesty, which she lies straight to him when she's like, honesty. He leads her upstairs, and of course, there's the princess and Talus. No alone time for Zora, because she was like, cool, there's the prince, I'll get him alone, it'll just be us. If this light is too distracting, please let me know in the comments, and I won't use it again with the light on. I'll turn the light off. I kind of like it, but I kind of feel like my face thinks it's at a rave. Let me know in the comments. So, Talus, in my mind, looks like a fox. I don't know why. He's just got fox-like features. That's what Talus makes me think of. He pulls out cards, and it's a game of truth, dare, drink, and honesty. The prince dares the princess to steal a thread from someone in the crowd. And it happens instantaneously. He then dares her to read the thread, and Zora's like, that's illegal. Talus is like, why do you care if it's illegal? You're in the underworld. What's going on, Zora? And she's like, I'm here to try to do business with your bosses, and I can't do that if they're imprisoned, okay? Prince pulls a blue card, which is a kiss. Talus and the princess go off on their own, and they huddle. And Zora's thinking, I should be in that huddle. And the princess turns around and says, kiss, Zora. And he's like, no. And there's like a whole thing. He's like gripping the booth really hard, and Zora's thinking it's just a kiss, and he like shudders, and she's like, oh, great, he's repulsed by me. I was like, it's totally not repulsion. It's because he wants to kiss you a lot. And so he gets up and he leaves, and she chases after him. They have a moment of intensity, and she leaves. The next day, she pops over to Greta's. They hug. Greta tells her, I'm so sorry I lost the dress. Me and Farah were fucking in a closet, and I couldn't find it. She gives her a dress of her own. She's like, this one is worth more. Here's this dress of mine. Keep it. They hear a knock on the door, and Greta opens the door, and who's standing there with Zora's dress in his hand? The prince. And she's like, the fuck are you doing here? And Greta's like standing in front of him, and he's like, we need to talk. And Greta's like, I don't think you do, sir, stranger with this dress, thief, give that back. And she's like, Greta, it's fine. So Greta agrees to step out so that they can talk. So they start talking, and he tells her that Talus gave him the dress to return to her. And apparently Talus said he should have agreed to let the prince kiss her. Zora tries to take his mask off, and he stops her, and he tries to kiss her, and she says, I won't kiss someone in a mask and with an illusion on. And he's like, you can see my illusion? And she's like, just your eyes. And he's like, that's the only place I have an illusion. So his eyes look normally gray. He takes his mask off, and the illusion goes with it, and his eyes are like galaxies. So like my face right now with this light, but his eyes. They banter, and they finally kiss. It gets really hot and heavy to the point that they are like ripping each other's clothes off. And Greta from the other side of the door is like, are you guys okay? And they remember, oh, we aren't alone. What do my notes say here? I knew from the moment he was mad about the kiss dare that he was Prince Kristen. Like, he can't fall for some random wild girl when I have to marry whoever wins this love tournament. Greta grills her, and she's like, it was nothing. And she heads to her boss's house. He tells her that he wants the two bosses dead instead. He says, I don't care. You don't have to bed them. I want them fucking dead. They're taking over my territory. Kill them now. You have until tomorrow night. She's upset seeing his human goods, and he asks how many threads it would take to bed her. And she's like, I'm not a whore. And he finally tells her the name of the person who might be able to tell her of her parents. He's the only one left from the last regime other than Kristen Estall. Oh, by the way, it's Tallis. Motherfucking Tallis is the guy who might know who killed her parents. She searches all day to find Tallis. She finally finds all three of them, but Tallis is almost dead. And the other two are beat the hell to shit. Beat the hell to shit. They're beat to shit. P. When I do my notes, I don't like to type out everybody's name, so I just do the first initial of their stuff. So instead of the prince, I just write P. The prince runs for a healing potion, and Z. That's how my notes say. Zora says she wants to question Tallis, and Zora's like, you have to... Oh, Zora's like, you're gonna have to make me leave. And the princess grabs her by the throat and begins to choke her out. The prince steps in, stops her, and then threatens her. If you ever do that to Zora again, we got issues, bitch. Zora asks for a sewing kit because the prince needs some sewing, and the prince follows her. He's like, it's in the bathroom. And he follows her into the bathroom, walks up behind her. She leans into him. And Zora says, I need to stitch you. And he's like, no, I'll do it. Read highlight. I knew there was somewhere where I put read highlight. So, from the book, he holds out his hand. Just give me the needle. I'll do it myself. Don't be stupid. It'll be a cleaner stitch if I do it for you. I can't look at you again. My heart sinks. Why not? He rubs his forehead. Because if I look at you again, Zora, I'm afraid I'll never stop. I'm terrified that if I see your eyes, I'll fall forever, and if I see your mouth, I'll kiss you until I can't feel anything but you. I'll drown in you if I look at you, and I can't do that. He pinches the bridge of his nose. Please, just give me the needle, leave this room, and get some rest. She touches his thigh to take his mask off and is like, let's bone. And he's like, no. And she threatens to cut his balls off. And then she pulls the biggest knife he's ever seen in his life out of her pants. And she like starts towards him and she doubles over in laughter. Like she has to hold it to her chest. She doubles over in laughter because the look on his face as she's coming for him is really funny. She asks for his name and he doesn't give it to her. And then he says a dirty thing to distract her instead. What is the dirty thing that he says to her? He says, one of these days you'll know my name. I promise. He catches my chin as I pull away, his eyes searching mine, earnest and hopeful. And when I make a promise, Zora, I will never take it back. Mischief lights his face and he leans closer, lowering his lips to my ear. Besides, I think I like the idea of you learning my name the same night I take you to my bed. He says, okay, princess. And she's like, I'm a fucking queen. But I wrote, then he calls her princess. Neon fucking sign, bitch, that he's the prince. More banter, and he unzips her dress and tells her to shower. He leaves, clothes there for her, and when she comes out, he's sleeping in a chair. Tallis and the princess are sleeping in a bed, and there's a cot made up for her. She entices him to lay with her by rubbing the bed, and he does come, and they, like, rub each other's non-sexual parts. And he is like, I have to get up and leave. And then Zora hears him whisper her name from the doorway. And she goes to him and he starts leading her down the tunnels. And he's like, we need to relieve some tension. So he is taking her to the underworld. Turns out they had an appointment with this super shitty pedophile guy client who likes to have Kristen pull threads about little boys that he's met in his lifetime so he can relive them. He's like, you're going to be my accomplice and you're going to kill him. But we have to be discreet. I can't be known as the boss who kills his clientele. The real reason is because he's Kristen Estall, the motherfucking prince of the fate, and he can't mess directly with fate anyway. He gives her a blade, which she hides. He starts to take the threads for the guy like he wants. She kills him. But as she's like going to pull the knife across this guy's throat, he tries to stop her, but she's so in her bloodlust that she doesn't hear him try to stop her. So it's too late. He tells her, I saw a young you, and I know it was you because your mother yelled your name. And there was a guy, this guy, was taking a little boy. And she's like, that's my brother. And she's like, can you see threads after death? And he says, yes, I can. He dives back in and sucks all of the threads out of this guy's body. He almost dies. His chest illusion fades, and she can see his scars. He's got scars all over his chest. She somehow gets him back to the room, and he tells her the last time Ferris saw her brother, he was alive and maybe 10 years old. She says, I don't want to sleep alone, and he says, me neither. So they're laying there, and they're talking, and she asks him why he calls Tallis Tails, because he calls Tallis Tails. And he says, when I was a kid, I couldn't say his name, so I always called him Tails. He goes silent and like vacant, and she loudly is like, "Are you okay?" And the princess wakes up and she starts to help him. She starts to take some of the threads from him. And she says that her job is to help him with his burden. Next morning, Zora wakes up and everybody is gone. She tries the door. It's locked. The prince is just like lurking outside of it, like they were waiting for her to wake up. And he says, "I'm sorry, I can't let you hurt Talus." And she tries the door later and it's unlocked. Everybody's gone. She frantically runs down the tunnel, out into the regular world. She runs into Greta. She's really good at that. She runs out of the underworld and always runs into Greta. And they go to Greta's house. They get ready because she's like, "I need to find these motherfuckers. Let's get dressed. Let's go out. Let's get some shit done." So they head out to look for Talus, and the magic of the underworld separates them. P.S. She's still supposed to kill the prince and princess before midnight tonight. She forgot tonight is product selling night, so when she walks into the underworld, there's girls being sold. And she goes on a killing spree, tent to tent. There's a girl in a tent with a creepy dude. She murders them all the dudes, frees all the girls. But Felix, her boss's big scary second guy, appears, and the beast comes up, and he's like, "All right, bitch, time to auction you off." And then she literally, poof, disappears. She appears, covered head to toe, might I add, in blood, because she was just on a killing spree, in a ballroom, surrounded by people in pretty dresses, and she's covered head to toe in blood. When she gets to the ballroom, Greta's there. And Greta's like, "Hey, I met your friend." She means Talus. She's like, "I told him I'm not, he told me I'm not really supposed to be here, so I'm just going to go over by him, okay?" The princess appears on a balcony and announces Prince Kristen Estall, who is obviously the prince. He looks shocked at Zora's appearance, and then he looks pissed off, and she's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, secret prince that I'm too stupid to realize was actually the prince. Did I offend you with my blood-covered self?" She bows, middle fingers up to him, and spits at the ground, and then turns her back on him, and a woman attacks her, and she's like, "You don't do that to the prince." Kristen appears and is like, "Tonight is for peace. The tournament starts tomorrow." And the two new women appear after he, like, cajoles the other one away. Is that the right word? Cajoles? Perfect. Two women then appear, and they're like, "Do you want to ally until it gets to the end? P.S. It's a fight to the death." She's like, "Sure," because she looks around and sees other girls gathering, and she's like, "Fuck, everybody's allying? Sure, I'll ally with you too." She sees movement behind a pillar, and she's like, "That's gotta be Talus." So she goes over there, a hand covers her mouth. She, like, to quiet her scream, she bites the hand. It's Kristen, of course. And I was like, he's an idiot who put his hand over her mouth. He's like, "Oh my God, who did this to you? Why are you covered in blood?" And she's like, "You're not mad that I showed up like this?" And he's like, "Is that what you think of me?" And then she's like, "I don't know you. You locked me in a room because you thought I would hurt Talus even after I told you that I wouldn't hurt him." And he's like, "You would if you found out the truth." And she's like, "Oh my God, you know what happened to my brother and my parents?" And he's like, "I am the heir of fate." And she's like, "Then tell me." And he's like, "I can't. There's too many holes in what I know." He doesn't answer her. He kisses her on the forehead. She's like, "This is goodbye to everything that we will be." She's like, "I'll win this tournament and I will force him to give me what I want." But this is the end of us as far as he knows it. Also, he wraps her in a hug. It's super cute. She meets up with Harmony and Sarah, and she tells them that she will ally with them. They walk through the magical portal and basically into an arena. She says that everybody's there, and Greta is up in the little booth with Talus, which, like, I wrote, how old is Talus? Greta is in her 20s, and Talus is from the previous regime. How old is he? I was like, it's so weird. I'm not okay with it. Anyway, tournament begins. That's what my notes say. She makes it to the weapons and the supply table. Royalist bitch is like, "You don't deserve to be here," and they get in a fight. Lady face plants. There's a knife sticking out of her back. It's Sarah. Sarah was like, "Guess what? Let's fight our way out of here. My sister is setting up a place for us to live." The girls teach her a lot of things she doesn't know about survival, essentially. They question her about her relationship with Kristen because obviously they have something going on. They, in turn, tell her What they know is that he can see fates via threads. Also, Talus and his sister are his anchors, which is what keeps him from dying when he reads fates. They can take some of the burden so he doesn't die. And that this happened because when he was a child, he almost died because his dad is a dick. And she thinks about how the beast is probably looking through her apartment and through Greta's, and she's actually kind of glad that Talus took Greta, so Greta's currently safe. She realizes when she gets up for watch that her wound needs stitches, and the first aid kit didn't come with stitches. So she looks around and she looks at her red hot sword in the fucking fire and is like, all right, burns herself. Anyway, she falls asleep, wakes up. There is a 12-eyed beast just ready to kill her. And then Kristen appears and he kills the beast. I said, I don't know if he's allowed to do that. He essentially tells the girls he's going to fight with them because one of them is going to win. And he tells her that Talus told him he needed to fix the rift between them. And she's like, oh, so you're here because Talus sent you? And then she walks away. He's like, if you hear me out, I promise to tell you what I know. She looks at him and is like, oh my God, look at his really hot chest. And then she's like, fuck. So she growls and she like makes a pain noise. And he's like, is it your wound? And she's like, don't come near me without your goddamn shirt. And where is your goddamn shirt? And he's like, oh, I guess I'm not wearing one. And then, like a dick, she comments on the scars on his body, which she was just told are from his fucking father. I wrote, and then like a dick, she comments on his scars that his piece of shit father gave him. Zora, I'm so mad at you. That was such a low blow. How dare you do that to him? He brushes it off and is like, you once told me you loved scars. I hesitate and reach a hand up, push his shoulder back, forcing him to turn his chest towards me. I have to if I want to love myself. He says, you say that as if it's difficult to love you. And I was like, dude, you've known her for days. She asks about his tattoo and they walk and start talking. Okay. I was always a fate. I didn't know until someone died. And so you see when a person slips from life to death, their essence flashes through them. And she's like their soul. And he says that his dad realized that he could do it and hid him away. If he was suspicious of someone, he would kill them and make Kristen read them to see what their true intention was. He's the one who embodied Kea, that's his sister's name, and Talus to him, knowing that any wound inflicted on him would hurt them and vice versa. He says that something had to be done about my father, and she realizes that he's the one who killed his father. That's why his father is dead. He says when he killed the king, he was bedridden for over a year. All of his threads sank into him and attacked him. A fate is supposed to be bipartisan and can't just make a monumental decision that affects fate. And because he did that, it caused his dad's threads to attack him, and he almost died. He's like, this is why I had you kill Ferris, because you aren't bonded to me. You doing it doesn't directly affect fate. I can't have Kea or Talus kill them because they're connected to me. Also to fate. While he was wiped out from killing his father, his underground became infested with other kingdoms and other such people. He says that's why I have the tournament. Marriage would strengthen him. They talk about how he brought her there because of fate. He's like, I can't say too much. She says, I have goals. If I win this thing, I want to end sex trafficking, put more laws in place to help women. And he's like, is that all? And she's like, also, of course not. Also, I want a horse. And he's like, a horse? And she's like, yeah. And he's like, all right, a horse it is. He reaches a hand towards me, tucks a loose strand of hair behind my ear. You'll have to win first. He tells her that she in fate, when he tries to look at her, is blurry. He worries that means he cares for her more than he should, like how he can't see Talus or Kea's fates. She jumps to conclusions and is like, oh, so I'm a project. She asks about Greta and Talus' situation, and he's like, Greta's a good man. Talus is a good man. Greta is safe with him. She's like, you still have info I need. And he's like, the only info Talus has is that he's safekeeping your thread archive. And I wrote, bro, what the fuck? He said, you intrigue me. He was like, I didn't really know it was you. Your threads were from your POV. I never saw your face. I only ever heard your voice, felt your essence. I recognized you at the club. And she's like, how long have you been looking at my fucking threads? And he's like, several years. I found your box in the palace, a place where my father kept things that he kept for nefarious reasons. Kristen says that someone must have taken the thread from her of when her family was destroyed. And she's like, read me. And he tells her that there are risks. And then he puts his hand on her neck, and he's like, sorry, I need skin to skin contact. He dives in. It starts with flashes of seeing her mom, more things, but then there's a black hole in her mind that he can feel wants to take him. And he's like, what is that? He's like, it could be a spot where a major memory was taken. It could be a repressed memory. There's some weird tether between them because of whatever this black hole thing in her brain is. And they start making out, and like it gets really crazy. And then he's like basically forcing himself on her unintentionally. Like it's not his idea. So he loses control, and so she headbutts him. And he's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. That's literally never happened. I swear to God. He was like, he tells her it's like the universe fell away and all he could feel was her and fury. They head back towards the stronghold and they hear someone yell. The stronghold's being attacked. She gets wounded. Then all of a sudden, there's a water beast. And Kristen's like, you are so wounded, you will die. He like picks her up, throws her over his shoulder, and like bolts, leaving Harmony and Sarah alone to fight this water beast. And they end up in a cave together. And he stitches her up, and there's like a whole thing. He gets her all taken care of, and he says that Talos created the tournament because he felt like he needed a queen, and Kea felt it needed to be a protector. He tells her, I don't get to make monumental decisions on my own, Zora. If I did, I would have married you already. And he's like, I'm a fate, not fate itself. And he tells her to rest. She wakes up feeling safe. He snores. She giggles. His eyes snap open. He's like, I didn't mean to fall asleep. But she's like, it's fine. And she starts walking away. And he's like, where are you going? And she's like, I gotta go find out if my allies are alive, bro. I'm kind of healed. Let's go. He's walking really loudly behind her, and they argue, and he says, I take it you're not a morning person. I glare at him. I'm not a life person. And I was like, bitch, me neither. I'm not a life person either. She eventually is like, can you not think so loud? And he's like, I'm sorry, shall I not exist, Zora? And she's like, that would be wonderful, thanks. They come across more bodies, but they finally get there. When they get it to the stronghold, Harmony is sitting by the fire. Zora asks about Sarah. Harmony throws a fucking head at her feet. She's like, this is what you left us with? We're supposed to be allies. Kristen was like, she was badly injured. She would have died. Harmony is like, hello? What is he even doing here? We are dying in your name, my guy. And you spite us by bringing yourself down into this pit? Sarah wakes up and they all start arguing. And she's like, why should we help you out when you already have the air on your side? I crane my neck towards Kristen. Oh, do you see what you've done? I told you not to be here. They get over the rough things and they have fun banter. They all turn on Kristen and pick on him. And he's like, you're all ganging up on me. You're supposed to protect me. And Zora says, after you marry one of us. Until then, you're fair game. Very true, Harmony agrees. She rests her hands on her hips and looks Kristen up and down with a sly smile. Fair game in every department. And Kristen says, why am I suddenly envious of the water monster? And walks away. The girls squabble, and then Talos' voice booms through the woods, telling them to report to the arena center. They pick up their weapons. Sarah's like, here's a healing potion. I was saving it for myself, but you better use it. We don't know what we're walking into. So they get there, and they walk into the arena. At the top of the pit where the throne rests, Talos stands in formal attire. The Royal Council crowds on either side of him. They all stare down upon us like... They all stare down upon us like gods. A wild smile glitters across Talos' face, and my gut tells me to fear that smile. She realizes Kea isn't there, and Greta isn't there, and Kristen isn't there. Talos captures them with magic, and he says, welcome, ladies. I'm glad to see we've narrowed it down to our top 8. Well done. As you all well know, the biggest threat facing Estal Kingdom is our unruly streets, more specifically the armies occupying what is known as the underground. The magic inside you currently seeks your deepest desires, as the curtain of the underworld typically does, but it is also finding your deepest fears. Tonight you will be called into the curtain, and you must face what lies beyond. Only those who return will continue in the tournament. Extra points goes to those who eradicate all they pass during their time in the underground. Bosses, mercenaries, loiterers, anyone. She shouts up that there are innocent people that go to the underground for nothing more than a good time. And Talus is like, they're all fair game. Several of the royalists on the council nod in agreement. Going into the underworld is against the law. Break the law, and you're aiding in criminal activities, Talus says. He announces that they will enter one at a time. The girls ask her for advice on the underworld. She tells them it's ruthless. Wherever that curtain takes you, be prepared for anything. Honestly, if there is a better strategy, I say make yourself as invisible as possible. Find your threat, take them out, use the shadows to your advantage. Talus calls the names, and as they go, when they get to the Evercourt sisters, the royalist chant and cheer, their approval. Zora's like, seems they've chosen a queen. And Harmony says they don't get to choose. We do. And Harmony's like, see you on the other side, Viner, which is Zora's last name. She's like, see you on the other side. As she steps through the curtain, Talus calls Zora's name. Of course, there is no applause. She begs the magic to take her to Greta. She comes in, and she's standing in the Beast's living room, and Greta is tied up and gagged and in the fetal position. Her clothes beneath the restraints are torn, the skin beneath marked with large gashes of dried blood. When I got to this part of the book, we are at the end of the book. This is all the end of the book. Is when I realized that I had not in fact read this book. She cries out Greta's name and hears a voice say, what is left of her is here. She turns and faces the beasts, and he has a bottle. He says, you hurt me, I will always hurt you back, Zora. I've trapped your friend's essence in that bottle. If you want it back, then you'll have to give me something else, something of equal pain for you. He bargains, it's only fair. She asks how this could happen. We have a mutual friend, he says with a smile. Friend is a strong word, says a deeper voice, and out steps motherfucking Kristen Estel. She yells, what the actual fuck? Kristen throws magic at her. She claws at it. She starts to walk towards them. Kristen says, you forgot your weapon. He attempts casually, daring a taunting look, and he attempts to be casual, and she's like, I don't need a fucking weapon. You've sharpened me enough. And she punches him, and he falls. From the book, I grab his hair and rip his head back, forcing him to look me in the eyes. You tell me right fucking now why. Why are you here? Why are you aligned with a man who enabled a man like Ferris? Why is my best friend, my sister, as good as dead on the floor? What have you done? For a moment, a millisecond of regret fills every crevice of his features, but in a blink it's gone. Before me is a man I don't recognize, and that makes me wish I could spit venom onto his flesh. I want to watch him burn, and I will gladly add the beast in as kindling. The beast looks over at her and smiles. If you want to find what's left of your family, if you want every answer you've ever sought, you must choose something to give up. She lets go of Kristen and says, I will always choose her. He is nothing to me now. The beast's smile widens. Good to know. In a swift movement, he grabs Greta's essence and smashes it on the ground. She screams, but looks at Greta. Greta's body has lost what little color it had, and the dark void in her back of her head yawns wider with my pleas. It sucks in everything and channels my entire being towards bloodlust. My ring finger pulses with the steady thrum of a war drum. Pure rage rushes in my ears. I can hear nothing, see nothing. I become wrath as my fingers slide across the marble and I reclaim my sword. Don't you want your answers? The beast asks. Zora says no. And he says no. He scoffs, looks at Kristen, says fine. Then it's time to finish this job. I'm tired of this game. Meaning he wants her to kill Kristen. Like she was supposed to. The beast commands her. Kristen is like, I can feel that thing in you. It's seeping deep into your skull. He's like, it wants me too. The beast is like fine, I'll kill Kristen myself. He's like, fine, I'll kill him myself. And then Kristen, like, disappears. He's like, all right, race to your cage. And she says, I can't be caged. And he says, you already are. They fight. She gets the upper hand. She holds her blade to his throat and says, take off your mask so I can kill the coward beneath. She yells, take it off. He raises a trembling hand, undoes his mask, and he says, are you sure you want to kill me? He asks, and he peels the mask away, and the beast is her fucking brother. She realizes finally that Kristen is gone. The voice in my skull doesn't feel like a void when I look at him. Brother, it feels like a whole complete darkness, a cancerous mask. Xavier, I breathe. What if I told you your cage was a palace, little sister? He asks softly from the book. You killed my friend. Made the man I shake the word love away. I glare at my brother, at Xavier, at the beast. I wanted to find him for so long. Here he is. He's been near me this whole time. Anger flares. What have you done? I grit out. Xavier tucks my hair behind my ears, the touch light and endearing. It does not match the hard and cold face across from mine. His eyes flash with pain, but he offers me a small, sad smile. I've shaped you. His voice thick with finality. He brings his hand down from my hair, takes my chin between his fingers, forcing me to stand taller and prouder. I've shaped you into the queen I need you to be to save us all. My pulse stutters as magic locks around my body. Where will you take me? Xavier steps back, his lips pull into a satisfied smirk. Home. End of book 1. And then in my notes I wrote, end of book 1. Oh my fucking God. Bro, when he takes off the mask and it's her fucking brother, I was like, I have not read this fucking book. What the hell? Oh my God. When I finished this book, I was mad at her brother. I'm mad at Kristen. I'm mad at Talus. He's being super fucking shady. Greta's fucking dead? ? So I immediately jumped into book 2. Book 2s will be coming. Let me know if you guys have read this book. Leave in the comments if you've read it. Comment if you have any questions about the book. Make sure that you like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so that you're notified every time that I post. Also, if you don't subscribe to the channel, you are not a bookish baddie. You are just a person who likes books. And if you're fine with that, okay, be fine with mediocrity. If you want to be a bookish baddie, though, you know the way to do it is to subscribe. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.